hingucken soll. Schönen guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren, herzlich willkommen zu einem weiteren Video der Firma Performance GmbH. Wir sind mitten in der Nacht hier. Es ist ziemlich dunkel, aber wir sind noch fleißig zugange. Wir hoffen immer noch, dass unser GTR aus dem Zoll rauskommt. Jetzt sind die Chancen langsam echt klein geworden. Aber die Laune bleibt trotzdem gut. Ich habe jetzt da was auf dem Tisch. Jetzt müssen wir wir müssen wirklich jetzt ganz stark sein. Auch ich. Weil was da auf dem Tisch liegt, ist etwas, was wir in dem Video gesehen haben. Und dieser Sound entsteht aus einem Grund, weil das einfach schaltentechnisch Liebe ist. Es ist Liebe. Und zwar haben wir uns das hier gegönnt. Das ist einfach mal ein CNC-gefräster Riesenklotz. Wir haben ein PPG-Getriebe sequenziell für unseren R34 GTR, nicht unseren R32, unseren 34er GTR. Mit allem, was du dir vorstellen kannst. Und die Jungs sind gerade noch am Quatschen. Er kommt gleich. Aber das hier ist wirklich der heilige Gral. Unser kleines Display hier, der Ganganzeige. Aber also wirklich, die Qualität ist so krass. Guck dir mal an, siehst du, wie schmal das ist? Nicht so. Das ist nichts. Das normale Getriebe vom GTR, ne, geht wirklich, siehst du die Anschraubpunkte? Das ist so breit. Das heißt hier, das ist so ein Klotz. Da das Material aber so krass ist, kannst du das einfach so kompakt bauen, dass es viel schmaler ist. Das heißt, das Montieren und Demontieren von dem Getriebe, no time. Hey Andrew, installation time is way easier because this is nothing. It's like a piece of bread.
If you think you can install it quick on your own, you go for it, man.
You don't think so?
No. The good thing is because technically it's bolt-in, right? It's exact. This is in the exact same spot as a normal GTR.
Yeah.
The bell housing's the same. It's all the same. The cross member that bolts on is a factory cross member.
No, but I mean, to go this way, it's easier.
The reason you still have to twist when you put it in is just purely transfer case.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, but to get the bolts in?
Yeah, easy.
Yeah. Because normally you get way more beef here.
Yeah. And the thing is, the big gearbox tilts just enough down when it's not got the cross member on. You can get to the top ones. It is a little bit easier. The other issues are still there, which is just it's a big heavy box. So, but in terms of putting it in, there's no custom fabrication work, no nothing.
Nothing.
Just bolts straight in. And exactly, the tail shaft will bolt straight up, the front prop shaft will bolt straight up. The only difference you have to remember is the spline is a 24 GM spline, like it's not a normal GTR spline. So your old clutch won't work, which is why Uni Clutch, when I explain how they work, comes with the right spline for it.
And why do they do that? Because it's
stronger input shaft, to have a stronger input shaft.
So how much power can this take? Because ihr seid jetzt nicht dabei, aber wenn du neben dem Getriebe stehst, when you're standing next to it, it looks like it can take all the power.
It can take more than you're going to make. I make 1200 and I haven't broken one. I've gone mid-8s on it. The quickest I've seen a PPG go is 820 at 170, high 170s. Now, before you say anyone says anything online, I'm talking to you internet people, I've seen every single gearbox break, okay? None of them are bulletproof. The end. Like, I don't care what anyone says.
So far, I've never seen a Samsonas break.
I have.
Samsonas?
Yeah. GTRs in Australia have broken every gearbox. But I've got a Samsonas in that car, they're great, right? But this, to me, the reason I choose this in a GTR, it's helical cut, so it's not as noisy, and the shift is like butter. You went in my car.
Lovely. I mean, wow.
Yeah, it's midget. You know this. So some of the features of this that I love has closed loop flat shift, right? So the difference. So an open loop flat shift is basically a strain gauge. When you pull on it, it goes, "Oop! I can sense a gear shift," and you just sends a signal to the ECU, and the ECU does a time delay cut. But this has a rotary position sensor inside it, which plugs into here, a rotary position sensor. So what it does is it's called closed loop flat shift. When you pull on this sensor here goes, oh, there's enough for a gear change, sends a signal to the ECU to cut ignition, actually completely cuts power. Cut ignition, but then this sensor tells the ECU, hey, you're in the next gear, I want the power back.
So that's
So because you don't ever shift the same every shift, right? So how do you have one period of time that always works? So that means if you don't shift as quick, or you've got to, so for example, when you go first to second, if you have a bit of wheel spin, what happens is it won't actually get the gear straight away. What usually happens on a bit of wheel spin, the way I've set mine up, is when you pull on this, it cuts the power, but there's a brief hesitation where it won't go into gear because it's wheel spinning, it doesn't want to change gears. But that momentary loss in power, the wheel spin stops and then it goes dunk into gear. And then it tells the ECU bring the power back. So it's almost like traction control when you go from first to second. My car does it mad. There's a delay on the pull because you're waiting for the wheel spin to stop. So, but because it's closed loop, you've got the information you need to do it properly.
Super smart.
Yeah, very smart. And it means that every shift works perfectly because of that. It means the time for a second to third, third to fourth might be different. It also allows you in the Howtech, and I'm sure other ECUs can do it, but going off a Howtech, I can tell the ECU can work out how to bring the power back based on what happened before it. And what I mean by that is, if you're at full RPM, full noise, full load, you want a really fast shift, right? But what about when you want to change gears at 3,000 RPM at half throttle? So the Howtech knows you're at half throttle, knows you're not on full boost, so it changes the power return on the closed loop flat shift. So when the sensor tells it, hey, you're in gear now, instead of instantly going back to power, it actually has like a curve of timing. You can tell it to be...
Oh, Kamera war aus.
So one thing I love about closed loop flat shift that we do with the Howtech, I'm sure other ECUs can do it, but I'm specifically talking about what I've done. The Howtech knows what throttle position and what boost you have, correct? So you can actually say, like, I want to bring the power back slower and smoother. So if you're at 3,000, 3,500 RPM, part throttle, you know, not even on boost yet, it knows that I'm going to return the power back slower. I'm not going to bring full power back instantly. I'm going to ramp the power back in. And then that ramp of power back gets more and more aggressive. The more RPM, the more power you have.
And throttle position?
Yeah, and throttle position. Yeah, you can map it off a few things. So, and the whole idea is you can have a smoother shift for when you just cruise along, and you can use the flat shift at all times.
No, I was so impressed when I was sitting next to you.
Yeah.
I felt that you are you trust your gearbox a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when you decide to make a shift, you know, some sequential gearboxes, you know, you get ready and you pull. No. Und wo er langsam gefahren ist, war es auch sehr natürlich. Und alles war abhängig wirklich von der Last. Wo er es jetzt erzählt, ist es wirklich so. Wenn es Cruisen war, und when you goes on it, then it really is directly there.
I have a video when my daughter was 5 years old sitting in the passenger seat, changing gears with one hand when I told her, okay, shift, and she'd shift it. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, and go. And another one, and go. And another one, and go. There we go. Yeah.
PPG.
Just cruising around. And it's like you've felt it. It just doesn't need a lot of force.
No.
And the more you learn it, the better you get at it, the better it gets. Like it's so good. The only thing you cannot avoid with a sequential gearbox is what's called rocking on the dogs. So your dog teeth, when they engage, to make that they can't pull out, right? And then when you get off you disengage, like when you have a moment of reduced torque, that's how they drop back and pull out. So what happens if you're on and off the throttle, the dogs rock like this.
Yeah.
So that before there's it's like slack, right? Have you ever noticed you can be driving along and they go, that's rocking on the dog. That's not tune, it's not engine, it's not camshaft, it's actually rocking on the dogs.
If the gear is too low, it doesn't
Correct,
more.
and then it starts to rock on the dog. You do learn how to drive these in a way to avoid that. Like, but no dog box can avoid rocking on the dogs. It is impossible to not do it.
Yeah, the higher the gear,
Yep.
and the right RPM, you can avoid it.
Especially in first gear, you take off and you start rocking on the dog. If mine ever does that, I pop the clutch back in and then kind of ride the clutch out again and keep going. But you learn how to kind of assertively accelerate in a way that stops it. But if you're timid and you're very like, but who drives a 1,000 horsepower GTR timid, right? Like if you're very timid with the throttle and you're on and off a lot, it'll rock on the dog. So you learn just how to drive it.
Das ist sehr interessant, was er gerade beschreibt. Wenn man mit einem sequenziellen Getriebe fährt und man cruist und man geht aus dem Gas raus und hast das so hin und her schlägt. Also wenn die Motorlager quasi zu weich sind, dass einfach dort auch die Last auf den Gangrädern halt immer wieder hin und her schlägt. Und davon geht halt einfach diese Dockringe kaputt. Das nächste ist, diese Welle hier ist keine originale GTR-Welle. Die ist halt auch dementsprechend dicker und stabiler. Deswegen brauchen wir auch den Adapterring für die Kupplung, über die wir gleich nochmal quatschen. Aber ich muss sagen, das wusste ich alles gar nicht, dass das Getriebe hat so viel mehr Wissen als ein normales sequenzielles Getriebe, weil aufgrund des Signals, was er hier rausgeben kann, bist du in der Lage, dem Steuergerät ganz fein zu erklären, hey, wenn du merkst, ich schalte zwar, oder andersrum, ein Getriebe, was das nicht hat, ein sequenzielles, macht immer voll Power. Egal was ist. Ja. Hier ist es so, es weiß, hey, der zieht, was das Momentum hier, ne, was dieser G-Wert oder dieser Newtonmeter-Sensor hier erkennen kann. Er weiß, okay, er will schalten, aber wir fahren 50, Im dritten, und Drosselklappe ist 20%. Wir machen das anders. Und das ist krass, dass das Getriebe so viel Wissen hat und nicht nur ein mechanisches Ding ist, sondern kann immer abhängig von der Situation die Energie des Schaltens steuern in Verbindung mit dem Steuergerät. Das ist krass. Macht es auch zu einem Getriebe, was halt auch wirklich in der Lage ist, daily drivable zu sein. In Verbindung aber auch mit volles Rohr auf die Fresse. Boom! So, you would say 1000 is still cool with it.
Oh yeah, that's the starting point. Like I said, I've got 1200 and I've never broken one. I've had one inspected after 7 years, which was the cast, like normal factory casing version. The gear set's the same. After 7 years, one dog tooth out of all of them had a tiny chip. There was the bearing in the front section of the input shaft was worn from use, like just use.
Driving.
Just driving. People go, what's the service interval? Well, service intervals are race kilometres, right? So let's just say most sequential gearboxes will say 5,000 race kilometres.
That's what.
Bro, that's race kilometres. This is on the street, right? So I tell people, you are guaranteed to break your engine before this needs a service. And they go, what do you mean? I go, just every now and then, if you're refreshing your engine up, just send your box off to get checked, right? Like PPG will tell you the same. But if you race a lot, like drag race every second weekend for a season, they'll say send it for a look every season if you make like 1,400. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So PPG are good with their advice. In your car personally, my advice is this. Monitor the oil when you change your oil in it, and I guarantee you, I don't think you're ever pulling it out to service at your power level.
Ever.
Like you'll sell the car or stop driving it or whatever.
So ratio is shorter.
So first, well, because there's 6 gears instead of 5, or compared to a 32, 33, so 5th gear is still 1-to-1. So your get drag in your car, 5th is 1-to-1. The 6th is shorter than your overdrive because it's all about performance, but it's the spread of ratios that's different. So first gear is really long. First gear is actually as long as second gear in a 34 with 411s. But the reason they do that is so that when you do you use that gear to get going.
Wait a second, so at 9,000 something RPM.
At 9,000 RPM, it's doing 100 Ks an hour.
In the first gear.
In first gear. Depending on your tyre and whatever.
So that means when we do launch control.
It's hard work.
This
is why you put 411s in your car, not 35s. We're taking the 3.5 gears out of your car, putting 411s in it. Also
front.
And front, yeah, obviously, which we have to do to get the ratios for this to be correct. I've driven a 34 with one of these where they kept 3.5 and it's shocking.
So with the 411, it's still 100k.
Yep, 99 k's an hour at 9,000 RPM. It honestly does make it a little bit harder to take off and drive, but you get a lot of road speed under you in first gear, and then once you're at 9 grand in first, when you pull each gear, they're very close together. Yeah, so imagine really long first, the rest of them are like this.
Like a bike, like a motorbike.
Like a motorbike. But that's what you need in a car that races. So once you're going and you start pulling gears.
Yeah. Das ist echt krass. Yeah. So 0-100 time gonna be, well, if we go...
And even if you rev to 8.5 or 8, your first to second shift is so quick.
No, I can do 100 in the first gear.
If you rev the shit out of it, yeah. Yeah, if you rev it all the way, you can go 100 in first gear. Depending on your tyre. It'll depend on your tyre, but it'll be very close. Mine does over 100 in first. On a drag radial with 9,700 RPM, it goes...
What time did you measure 0 to 100?
Oh, I don't bother. I was a quarter mile time. But if I did some mathematics, and I probably worked out I was doing 100 Ks an hour in like 1.6, 1.7 seconds.
Ja, wenn nicht schaltet, gar nichts macht, das Ding reinkuppelt, Power drauf, tschüss. Krass.
Yeah. It does 850 in the quarter mile, 165.
No, I mean for an old car like that, with an old guy like you.
I know, right? Like some of it...
Not bad.
Old dog with old tricks, bro. I got new tricks too. Uni-clutch is a new trick. Okay. Oh, actually, there's one more thing I want to tell you about this. You ready?
Yes.
This has some other things you don't know about. It actually has a sensor for debris, as in how much metal debris is in the oil. So
sensor?
There's a sensor
or magnet?
No, sensor, and a magnet. On this side, there is a sensor to tell you how much debris is in your oil. If you can hook that up.
Turn it on?
It's the easiest way. Let's just put it on its side and I won't let it fall.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So it's under the bottom. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And that's your reverse lockout.
And where does the information go to?
ECU.
And I see it where?
Well, that's the hard part. They've got a calculation and an algorithm to put it into an ECU, yeah. It's like a resistance, basically. Like resistance.
Widerstand, yeah. Also hier ist ein Sensor.
And that's your electronic reverse lockout sensor. So you can remove that and have no lockout, but that is attached to this button. But what we did in my car, instead of using the button...
Wait, das ist ja krass. Ein elektronischer Sensor, ne, ist immer beim sequenziellen Getriebe mit diesem kleinen Ring oder was hochziehen oder so. Und hier kannst du einfach drücken und dann gibt er den Rückwärtsgang frei.
Das ist schon mal geil. Better. You ready?
Yeah.
So what we'll do in your car is same as my car. So you could press that button at 100 k's an hour and it would let you go into neutral, or go back through, right? My car's set up so that mine is calculated on vehicle speed before I can go into neutral or reverse. So it won't let me go, if I'm coming up to the lights in first gear slowing down, it won't let me pop neutral until I'm below 20 kilometers per hour. And then it won't let me go to reverse unless it's 0. So my ECU won't let me. So I don't need to, my button doesn't work in my car. I don't have an override, nothing. It's all based on speed in the ECU.
Geil.
So,
Und hat einen Sensor, der kontinuierlich den Zustand des Getriebeöls überwacht. Digital.
Ja, das ist
Und gibt diese Information ans Steuergerät weiter. That's a pretty smart boy.
well, if you know how to use
Honestly.
it. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Obviously, I did engineering in the Air Force, and I love using
You
it.
did?
Yeah, aeronautical engineering in the Air Force, yeah.
Smart guy.
So I have a fighter jet. Look, see, I was in the Air Force. I had a pilot's license when I was 16, so I got all jet number plates. So yeah, I love using technology that helps make the car better. I do. So, you know how twin plate clutches have to be designed to suit every application, right? So Uniclutch came up with a generic twin plate clutch where it has its own flywheel surface built in, comes pre-packaged.
Wait a minute.
This is the flywheel?
No, you still have your flywheel. It has its own friction surface. And this is how we get it onto the car. You ready? Oh, we'll come back to that. So it has an adapter plate like this, right? You put this into this, and it comes with some shims and whatever to get it right. You put it in like that. Notice there's no spline in here.
Because
That's where
we use
this
this
goes.
one. Yeah,
that goes in there for the spline, and that becomes a GTR clutch. Now the reason they do that is it means this bit is the same for like 500 different cars. This is the same for about 200 or 300 cars, and there's another ring for another 200-300 cars. So people can keep in stock 10 clutches to suit multiple cars. So cost effective means you can have a twin plate clutch for way less. Now, other little things. Sprung on one part, has little springs here to stop the twin plate rattle. So you got the lights, you know,
Stop?
Yeah,
Or less?
way less, but it has springs in it. See? Now,
Das habe ich mich immer gefragt. Warum man da das nicht reinfedern, weil es liegt ja nur daran, dieses Rattern, dieses Rasseln, was ja manchmal wirklich zu krass ist.
wenn du die Kupplung loslässt.
Wenn du die Kupplung, ja genau,
Neutral.
dieses unfassbare Rattern.
Ja.
Das ist ja nur daran, weil die da in sich arbeiten können. Und wenn du nur ein bisschen Drehmoment, ein bisschen Newtonmeter gibst und die einfach auf Spannung liegen, nicht schließen können, aber ein bisschen Spannung geben, dann müsste es doch weg sein.
so this is all the adapter kit to suit different cars. So
Everybody gets all the
you get all that, yep. It's just easy to give it to everyone. Now, here's the thing. This one is specific for like this motorsport spline. You have to ask for that. But here's the thing. You don't have to remove your flywheel. So if you want to change your clutch, instead of getting your flywheel machined and removed, you just bolt this straight to it because it has its own friction surface. Now, you're going to ask, but what if I want to get rid of my flywheel because my flywheel is big and heavy from factory? Well, now we have that. So that is an old ultra flywheel where it doesn't have a friction surface. It's like it's like in an auto, right? Like
It's very light.
yeah, it's light. So I've got a razor blade to cut it out.
Das ist echt leicht.
Ich habe keine Ahnung, wie normalerweise ein Flywheel sieht.
Also, eine normale Schwungscheibe hat immer
Feel
eine...
With a ring gear and everything on it, and the right thickness for a 34, the whole lot. That's how light it is.
That's from Australia? No.
Yeah, that's right, made here. Now feel that. It's not that for a twin plate. It's not that heavy. Right? It's lighter than most twin plates, unless you go like full-blown carbon motorsport stuff. But it's not that
that's
bad.
okay.
It's okay. And it drives really nice. I've put them in heaps of cars now. Now I wouldn't put it in a car that makes 1300.
Hier eine Question.
Yep.
Der große Unterschied ist, normalerweise hat die Schwungscheibe immer noch mal eine Reibfläche und hat halt dadurch auch ein gewisses Gewicht, eine gewisse Masse. Hier ist es aber so, dass du das alles hier noch mal hast und kannst somit das viel kompakter fahren.
Ja.
Kannst halt auch separat die nur abschrauben von dem Ding. Das Teil bleibt sogar dran. Also du hast verschiedene Varianten, was du machen kannst. Und dadurch hast du auch einfach nur einen Automaten. Okay? Wechselst, klar, you gotta change this all the time.
No, so you can just,
you gotta change this one.
no, you can leave that factory. You could put
No, from car to car.
yes, this is different
Yeah.
car to car. This is the bit that's universal.
Exactly.
This is universal. That's per car.
Yeah.
But they only released this because a lot of people said, hey, why don't I put a lighter flywheel on because I'm not even using the friction surface. But the original idea was to allow people to change their clutch without even removing the flywheel. Because once you remove the flywheel, you've got to get it machined.
Yeah.
So you save like hours of labour because you just throw the clutch straight back on. And then people just introduced this because they wanted this clutch but a light flywheel, so they created this because they don't need the friction surface.
Because Australians are smart.
Correct. I'm not going to say whose idea it was to suggest that maybe you do a flywheel like this.
Oh.
And maybe
Let me
help.
guess.
I may be responsible for some of the product line with Uniclutch, but this is their gift to you, by the way. So
Really, I mean, that's a very, very smart product.
yeah, it is.
Very smart, because to have that in stock, because it's always like that. You get a call and it's
You only need 10 of them in stock.
exactly that thing that you need. It's not
Yeah,
there.
it's always there.
But when you have a clutch in stock, I mean, of course, you need that for sure.
Yep.
But that's way cheaper and easier to do than always a different clutch.
But what I could do is you could just say to me, hey, the clutch in my GTR is broken. I can just put that over
Yes.
your factory flywheel and you're in and out in 4 hours, done. Car comes in at 9 o'clock, it's done by 1 o'clock. No flywheel to the machine shop, no waiting for the clutch to arrive, just go.
Easy.
Yeah,
Great.
very smart. And
Great,
Australian,
great.
because we're good like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, they've designed this around cars that are actually nice to drive. I will say this, I wouldn't put that in 1200 horsepower drag car. It's not for that. We've got that in my Workers R33 GTR, I've had it in my Z, I've had it in my Supra, I've had it in multiple cars. I put it in the Mighty Car Mods GTR. They drive fantastic. In fact, you would be hard pressed to compare that as any different to a factory clutch. Like, it's that good. But if you're going to drag race, you're going to put a drag clutch in. Like, all-wheel drive drag radials is going to destroy any clutch that's nice on the street. So that's all I tell everyone, is if you're making under like 800 and under, I'd use it.
What kind of clutch would you recommend for a drag GTR?
Full-blown drag or part-time drag?
Full blown.
I have a direct clutch services sintered iron 9-inch twin plate in my GTR.
Twin plate.
Yeah, and it's mental. It actually uses the same material as a slider clutch. It is not very nice to drive.
No, it's
but it
off.
will cop every launch back to back. The medium ground is a direct clutch services 9-inch twin plate with a cerametallic centre. That's nice to drive. Will handle some drag runs, but it won't handle like 3 mid-8 second passes back to back.
How long are you in this GTR world?
How long have I owned one, or in the world?
In the world.
I've been in the GTR world, I guess, like around them, part of it, learning about them. I've been obsessed with them since 99. Like, since 1999, I've been obsessed with them. Which means I've been around them because I've made video production for Ignition, Motive. I didn't actually get my own first one until 2011.
Oh, that long?
It took me 10 years to get one. I was broke, didn't have any money. I bought that though instead. I got that Silvia in 03. So, yeah.
No, I think it's a nice story.
Yeah, it took me a while to go. I was so biased about them before that. Like, I was always learning about them and helping people with them and at workshops all the time. And my engineering degree means I learn quite well about it. But when I got my own, that's when I started that journey of, like, I ignored everything I'd ever heard and I started again in 2011 and just tried everything.
And you tested in that period of time everything.
My attitude has been, it started at, say, 300 horsepower, was it's not allowed to go to the next 100 horsepower bracket until it's perfect. Mm-hmm. So 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, 1,100, 1,200. Now I'm trying to make it perfect at 1,200. I made it perfect at 1,100, now I'm trying for 1,200.
Impressive.
And when it's perfect at 1,200, I'll make it perfect at 1,300 or 1,400.
Ja.
I think now I can go up by 200.
Krass.
So, yeah.
Wir haben noch ein Paket bekommen aus Deutschland. Moment. Und das hier,
But then use
das hier,
Kennt man ja.
hat dieselbe Aufschrift, wie die immer haben auf allen unseren Turboladern, denn die sind aus Deutschland. Vom Flo haben wir die bis nach Australien geschickt bekommen. I mean, they're small boys.
I know. Oh, turbos. Yeah, okay, yeah, good.
Yeah. But don't you say also that twins on an RB is something...
They're special. I don't dislike them. Like, I know, for me, the argument is not whether they're any good. It's just what works best. I think people confuse my twin versus single argument as some type of personal opinion.
Yeah.
No, but it's just literally, I've tested them. And if you tell me, oh, there is an application where twins are more responsive, you're wrong. The end. I've made a single...
They're more responsive or not?
They never are. No matter what you put on there, I will make a single turbo kit more responsive than twins. For the same power, more power, whatever.
Efficiency.
Correct. It's just physics. I'm not trying to argue because I think singles are better because I feel like it. All the depth testing and data.
I mean, it looks cool.
Correct. But twins sound mad. They look mad. And some people want to stay twins because either it might be legality reasons, it might be packaging, it might be money, whatever. And if you want to run them because you like them, go for it. But if you tell me that you're going to put them on and I couldn't match a single turbo that makes more response, more power, easier, you're wrong. Like, the end. And anyone out there that's trying to argue it, you might have had that experience. You might have put the single turbo that didn't match properly. You might have, but I'm telling you right now, there isn't a single twin turbo package where I can't make a single work better. It just doesn't exist. But it doesn't mean I haven't had people that have said, oh, I had this single on and it was crap and I put these twins on and it's better. Of course, because you probably had a single that was either set up wrong or too big or whatever. Like, but if you get down to like gas flow rates and compare them directly, the single will win. It's just physics, right? It's maths, it's physics, it's Eurofighters, it's all of the above.
True.
But They look mad, they sound mad, and I've got a twin turbo GTR outside I've been developing with Legendary Garage and Motorsport Mechanical.
And it's very good that you say that,
Yeah.
because we will just change the day and the weather and take a ride in that car.
Yeah, you will. You're gonna just like that, weather change?
Yeah, just like that.
Alright.
See? So, jetzt erlebt ihr Australien wirklich pur, absolut pur, denn ich habe euch ja gesagt, wir fahren eine Runde in einem weißen 32er. Andrew's right here.
Yo!
Das ist jetzt eine ganz, ganz spontane Geschichte. Fragt nicht, wo wir sind, warum das so ist, aber so the gearbox pretty much like, no, that's the manual, right?
J-Track, 6-speed, yeah.
Okay.
So it's an R34 6-speed.
Yes.
But R34s have a 3.5 diff ratio from factory. This, not 411s, 4.3s.
Okay.
So it's very, very snappy.
Yeah. So, but what we are planning on mine, what we just saw in the video, is also kind of snappy, right?
Yeah, well, in a different way to this. It's a very similar setup to yours. It's that V-cam, but you've got bigger head and everything. But the diff ratio and everything is what's different with this the most.
And how much power is this making now?
About 600, 650, thereabouts.
So we are in this area. Also für mich wird das gerade sehr spannend, weil das hier ist leistungsmäßig so ungefähr in der Gegend, wo wir auch hinwollen. Unser ist ein bisschen schneller. It's a beautiful car. Honestly, it looks
Most people
great.
don't even think that we would even drive it. We've drag raced it. We're going to take it to the circuit.
Okay.
But yeah, it's built to be driven. Like it's, don't get me wrong, restored, immaculate. Andrew from Legendary Garage did a great job with this. Like it got restored from a bare metal, like from a shell.
Okay.
From complete bare metal. And
how long does it take in Australia to do something like that?
Well, Andrew Hannison luckily does his own cars, so for him it's not so bad. He got it done pretty quickly. So
we're talking.
Like, you know, you're still building cars like this for 6 months to a year, generally speaking. But I think the last push, I remember with this car, he had some of the stuff ready for it, but then the 7 days before GDR Festival last year, it was a bare shell. As in, like, it was bare metal, and it all got painted and assembled that week. Well, traffic's pretty hectic.
Yeah, it is. It runs very nice.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a 2.8?
2.8 V-cam, so 2.8 V-cam. Twin low mounts with billet wheels, not too big though, we didn't go crazy on the size.
So V-cam means this AKS?
Yeah, HKS V-cam, yeah, it's the one with the adjustable inlet cam gears.
Yeah, I don't have that.
You don't need it, your cams are too big anyway. So there's only so big HKS cams can like be with V-cam, does that make sense?
Yeah.
But you'll see it's very...
Because the spread is too...
Oh, sorry, third gear's terrible. That's cold. You can see it's all like...
It's right there.
Yeah, it's just
and the ratio 3:4.
Ratios, yeah. I just want to go for a little look and make sure.
I just want to get a small feeling.
Yeah. I don't want to give it a kick until I go down and back and make sure there's no cops hiding anywhere. Sometimes they hide outside events, but
it's also kind of hard. They're always getting very quickly, very hard, the cars.
Yeah.
What kind of suspension is that?
It's actually like Nismo suspension.
Okay.
Like not coilover, it's just normal Nismo suspension.
Okay. 32er ist auch echt so eine Schönheit, ne?
I'll turn around here and I'll kind of show you what it's like as a like responsiveness where you don't have to like rev the shit out of it to drive it. Like you can actually short shift it and you don't have to go ballistic.
And you're still going, right?
Yeah. That's
650?
Ja.
Alter, hast du das Ding geht kreuz und quer, Alter. I love it. I think that's the right power for it.
It's beautiful. A little bit of a spin.
Yeah. And the twin turbo.
A little bit of torque steer. Just.
Yeah. Like fighting with the little bull.
Yeah, you don't want to be too boring. Like,
No. It's great.
I love this car.
It's great.
That's why I developed it. So I worked with Legendary Garage to develop this car further, as well as Mick from Motorsport Mechanical. So they did the initial build and was like, Andrew, let's make it better. So I basically came in and acted as, I guess, the guy to help develop it, to drive it.
So what? It's 5th gear, right?
6 now.
Can you go full?
From 5th you would. So like that's 3,000 in fifth. It takes a little bit. You still need some.
How much?
It's already going.
Wow. You Australian guys, you build different RVs. Also wirklich, the sound is different. The feeling is different. How the boost gets in. And what kind of ECU is that?
It's got a Haltech in it.
Great.
Haltech Elite 2500, I think.
Geil, also so geil abgestimmt. Das Ding rennt richtig stramm. Kein Spaß.
Look out for me.
And then with the sequential on top, that would be great. Wow. The short ratio makes it way better.
Good.
So good.
So good. I have people complain the gears are too short.
No.
I'm like, no,
it's about playing. It's about playing.
Like, you can see from 4,000.
Boah, die Traktion ist auch echt brutal.
One, baby. The only difference with yours is you have a long first gear, so it'd be like taking off in second gear in this car. But then the rest are closer.
Yeah, but this I love the how you lose traction every time. I think with the 34 it will not be like that.
In first gear you will.
With the 34?
Yeah, in first gear you'll get that like this. Yeah.
You think so?
The first is long. I know. So.
You know. You know.
How good's this car though? So
I think the color with the wheels and the Nismo stripes and everything. I think a sequential would be the killer also in this one. The sound also that it makes when you make the shift with the sequential is awesome.
See, I've taken you for rides in 2 GTRs now.
Yeah, man.
How's my track record going? Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, man.
I like to think I just know enough how to build a good GTR now.
Absolutely. Because some of these cars that you see on some shows, because people don't know that there's a show right now, so it's a different video, is that 2,000, 2,300, I just saw one 1,600. Of course that's way faster, way more power, but I think this is just right.
Oh, this is amazing.
This is amazing, honestly.
I'm gonna go drag race it.
This one? Yeah. But not on that track.
Yeah, drag race it now.
Now?
Yeah, why not?
Can I sit in the car? No.
Nein.
Also Leute, dieses Auto hier ist so schön. So dermaßen schön. Also, ich komme immer auf. Fragt euch nicht, wo wir sind. Hey. So, oh great, really. Thank you very, very much. Oh, the engine bay.
So the big ticket items, VCAM, 2.8, Nismo inlet, that's all part of it being responsive.
Yeah.
And then we use 25-30 HKS turbos. We use an Inconel rear wheel and a billet front wheel, but to our spec, we don't just go big, we actually made it not really any bigger, just better wheel. And then the jet trag with 4 3s is the secret. That's the secret sauce. Everything else is normal. Like,
also the mapping. The mapping is very, very, very clean.
But to us, that's normal.
Yeah.
Like all the other, everything else on here is what we'd normally do. Just the key to this car is 4 3s, VCAM, Nismo inlet.
So let me ask, it's a crazy question, but do some cars drive catalytic converters here?
Nah. Well, I mean, yes. They all use. We all use catalytic converters.
2.
Yes.
Yes.
3. I have 3.
Yeah, one spare, one in the trunk. Yeah, that's what we do.
You mean attached to the exhaust or in the car?
In the car.
Yeah, they're in the car.
Yeah, somewhere.
In the car.
Also, 32er GTR, das ist ungefähr das. Was? Wir haben die Traktion verloren, Leute. Und das waren Yokohama Semis. Das waren 285er. Rundherum. Und das Ding hat Traktion verloren wie nichts. Das Ding ist durch die Gegend geflogen. Alter, ist das krass. Ist das krass. Also Leute, um uns rum, habt ihr nichts gesehen? Also hier ist nichts zu sehen. Alles ist ganz normal, das kommt in einem anderen Video. Aber das hier ist wirklich ein wunderschöner GTR. Das ist ein wunderschöner GTR. Das Auto ist von vorne bis hinten einfach nur toll. Und zu wissen, dass ich mit den Jungs hier wirklich an der Quelle, dass wir wirklich für uns, für Deutschland, so einen Motor bauen können, mit dem Wissen, weil es ist wirklich so, also die laufen besser, die laufen geiler, die laufen anders. Das ist super, super snappy, super geil, also ich bin total happy und ich wünsche dir noch viel, viel Spaß. Und das war jetzt sehr kurz, das Video, weiß ich, aber wir haben einen Eindruck bekommen und es läuft. So, hier. GTR-Liebe. Tschüss.